welcome to another episode of Table Talk. I'm your host, Jake Combs, and today we're going to be unboxing the Black Templars army set from Games Workshop, specifically for Warhammer 40k. Now, I assume that you can take a majority of these models and also use them in the new kill team, but I don't know enough as far as which unit types are in here, and haven't compared that against the kill team list, but I would assume that you could also use these in there. Now, I've already gone ahead and broken the seal, so I'm going to go ahead and just tear out the plastic the rest of the way. Now, this is on pre-order as of this past Saturday, which means that it is it is going to be released by this coming Saturday. Now, one thing that this does come with is the new battle tome, and that I suspect that the following week is going to be when the regular edition of the battle tome is going to be released. Now, one thing I love already about this is we have the 3rd edition box art from the main 40k release itself, or either that or it's just from the Black Templars Codex from then. Not 100% sure about the two. I know for certain that it's on the Codex, but I believe it was also on the box art of the original 3rd edition release. Now, it was essentially the first edition that I personally got into after having played a single game on 2nd edition. My cousin actually had 2nd edition, and when I decided to actually start collecting my own, I went out and bought the 3rd edition box set, and we're talking basically a matter of months in between when I got introduced to Warhammer and Warhammer 40k to when 3rd edition came out. Now, so that's one of the things I absolutely love about this set, is that box art that is so nostalgic to me, being the cover of the special edition battle tome. Now, I don't believe I said this already, but this was sent by Games Workshop for the purpose of this video. So thank you to Games Workshop for doing that. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get into the box and take a look at what's inside. So we have our data cards. Now, personally, I've never used data cards in a game of 40k. So I'm going to go. So we're going to open this up, take a look at them, see what to expect there, because I'm sure other people out there have not used them as well. And from the way I've always played is we've always played without it. Basically, everyone I've played against didn't use data cards either, and so this is going to add a whole new dynamic to how we're going to play the game, because obviously we want to learn how to make the most out of everything that we have. So we're going to open that up last. Now we have our standard model bases, and then we have our much bigger base for the Dreadnought. Now, personally, I've always wanted to build and paint a Dreadnought, and this is actually literally the very first model kit that I've ever received that actually had a Dreadnought in it. It's one of those things that I've always wanted to build, but because my armies are typically not Space Marines when I play, that I've never got around to actually building one or justifying the purchase of one. So we're going to go ahead and look at the models. Now, from what I understand, we have 2 unique models, and the rest are Primaris reprints for Black Templars from 8th edition. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but from what I've seen, they've only mentioned that 2 of them were exclusive, and so to me it implies that the rest have been released before. So, without further ado, we've got, looks like 2 of the smaller sprues first one, we have our cape, very smooth. You know, got a little bit of a ripple, but not a lot of detail on it. You know, we also have some rocks with some skulls at the base of them, and then, you know, the front of the robes, we have some lanterns and chains and things like that, so we definitely have a lot more detail. Now with this one right here being the back of a model, there's almost no detail there, so I'm assuming that this is the body that's going to go in front of this cape. And from what I can see from the box art, this is one of the unique models right here, and I'm willing to bet that this is the other one as well. And you know, we do have a good amount of detail, especially on the sword. I love that they basically carved, you know, all of this all these runes into it, and then with the right shading and right colors, those can really pop. One thing I like to do is do some, you know, normal metallic for the blade of, you know, whatever color you prefer. You know, if you want to do copper, gold, you know, silver, whatever. Personally, this method works best with silver, but then I like to take the nickel oxide and basically run it over the carving, the runes themselves, so that way it puts that kind of bright blue into the runes, almost like they're glowing on the weapon, and then basically wiping the excess off, so that way you just have the normal silver blade otherwise. Or at least when I do them, that's the color I use, but I imagine that it would really pop with other metallics as well. Then we have one, basically what I consider a half sprue, and 3 full sprues. Now, one of the full sprues and this half sprue are all the pieces for the dreadnought, which this is one of the Primaris dreadnoughts, not the older style. Specifically a Redemptor dreadnought. And definitely have a lot of detail on there. Now looking at it, I can see that some of the weapon options that are on this sprue are not on the model that they actually have displayed. So that tells me that this kit has multiple options as far as how you're going to build it. So you can build it specifically for how you want to play. Like looking at it, I see, you know, an autocannon, I see kind of a Gatling gun or heavy stubber, possibly maybe a flamethrowers on there as well. So, you know, definitely a lot of different options. And then we have 2 of the same sprue, and this is the rest of our models for the Black Templars, basically comprising of our other Space Marines. Looking at the back, it looks like we have, you know, about 3 scouts, and then about 8 regular Primaris Marines. So looking at the breakdown where it says this box contains, it's the Emperor's Champion, the Black Templar Marshal, which are these 2, the Black Templar Primaris Crusader Squad, which is 1 Sword Brother, 4 Neophytes, and 5 Initiates. So looking at this, you know, with them having just those 10 models, and the fact that these 2 sprues are the same means that you're going to have definitely some extra bits for your bits box. And looking at them, it looks like they give you a lot more range as far as the assembly for the models. Like, you know, with the torsos right here, you know, it's basically a sheer fit, so that way, you know, if you want the gun to be up, kind of like, you know, they're more of kind of at the ready, or if you actually want them out like as if they're fighting, you know, you have that range of movement where it's not going to look, you know, kind of clunky, and so it's going to be more of a natural fit doing it that way. And then we have a smaller insert than we typically have within the the boxes, but some fantastic artwork of the Black Templars. You know, we got explosions in the background. Looks like a full siege is going on Imperial City. You know, one of the captains is using a hand flamer, and then on the other side we have basically looks like a single Black Templar, or actually a couple Black Templars. I did see one on the side tearing through what I'm assuming are a bunch of cultists or psychers. So some really cool artwork there. And then we have the sealed battle tome as well as the assembly guides. And then we also have our decals for the Black Templars. Now, honestly, of all of the Space Marine factions, without creating your own, or without going to chaos, because naturally I tend to go towards chaos. But you know, with that being the case, the Black Templars are by far my favorite of the loyalist Space Marines. And with this group, the way that they are, I really am looking forward to actually building and painting them actually as Black Templars, because typically when I'm painting, you know, I don't paint them up in the standard unit colors of a specific faction. I tend to create my own color scheme for the faction that, you know, I basically create in kind of my own headcanon. So as usual, we have our multi-toned assembly guide, you know, so that way you can see which colors are lining up with which, to make identifying, you know, where parts go a lot easier. And like I see that with a lot of the different bodies, we have different gun options, so you can make, you know, basically multiple Marines and have them each be, you know, unique or pretty dang close to it. And so it looks like with the Dreadnought, our different options are, we have a plasma gun or plasma cannon, the Gatling gun looking thing, and it doesn't really say what those are there. And then for the other hand, it's a power fist that has a gun attachment to it as well. Looks like a stubber or another like kind of mini chain gun. But unlike our usual assembly guides, these ones do not actually have stats in the assembly guide, which means all of our stats are here in the codex. Now again, I love the art. Classics 40K. And you know, with the codexes, you know, having all the art in there, that is definitely one of my absolute favorite parts of them. You know, and I always want to collect as many codices as I can, so that way I have, you know, all the individual lore and I can look back on them. Plus, if you're someone that plays a lot of different armies, having the codex of, you know, an army that you're going to face against, you can read up on, you know, things that they might be bringing, and, you know, kind of anticipate what they might be bringing, so you can custom build your list to combat, you know, what you think they'll be taking based on either the scenario you'll be playing or you know, what they're going to be facing. Now, the first 39 pages is all of our background and lore or fluff for the Black Templars, and then on page 40 we go into the actual rules for them. Combat patrol, detachment abilities, the Templar vows I thought were really cool. Basically, you take a vow for your Templars. Like suffer not the unclean to live. The vow, each time a model in this unit makes a melee attack against non-vehicle unit, an unmodified hit roll of 6 automatically wounds the target. And then there's also passions with them. And so with this one, each time the unit is selected to charge the closest enemy non-aircraft unit within 12 inches and not within engagement range of any other Black Templars units, must be declared as a target of that charge. So basically, it forces you to charge at specific targets. So kind of, even though it's listed as a passion, kind of sounds like it's kind of the downside to this benefit. And then we go into the army rules by page 48. Warlord traits, litanies of the devout, relics, relic bearers. Then we go into match play rules, crusade rules, specifically a crusade army section, and then data sheets for all of the different models, like High Marshal Halbrecht, which is actually one of the newer models, I believe is going to be basically previewed this weekend officially, and then the following weekend would go on pre-order. Now the model itself I actually really like, because he's basically standing there with his sword in the body of an orc, and one of his retinue are basically cleaning the blade while he's basically standing there and surrounded by other orcs. And then, so the Emperor's Champion is one of the ones that comes in this box, and he's listed here as well. And then we go into the war gear section, and then the glossary. And then for those that use the apps, it does have a code in there, so that way you can actually expand the rule sets that you have on there to include the special options that are exclusive in this codex, and can use those for future lists as well. But that is it as far as what we're unboxing today. Again, I wanted to say thank you to Games Workshop for sharing this with us. We definitely really appreciate all of their support for the channel, and definitely look forward to actually getting in and building a actual faction that is already out. And actually I forgot about the data cards, so we're actually going to get to those now. Just making room. All right. Now I could just fumble with it and tear it on my own, but the knife works much faster, and I don't want to waste your time as well as my own. Now I love the box itself. The artwork is fantastic. We've got two different Black Templars on the front and back, and then we go to our cards. So and we have Battle Tactics Stratagems, Epic Deed Stratagem, Requisition Stratagem, Strategic Ploy Stratagem, War Gear Stratagem, Core Stratagem, cards for the different vows, and then I'm not sure the purpose of this card. It basically just looks like an art card of some sort. Now for the stratagems, we'll just go with one right off the bat. For battle tactics, the Devout Push. Use this at the start of the fight phase and select one Black Templar's core or character from the army, and then select one of the following. If that unit is not within engagement range, make a normal move up to 3 inches with that unit, it must end this move either closer to the closest enemy unit or closer to the closest objective marker. So basically it sounds like you're using your command points to move a little bit further than you normally would, kind of separate from your actual movement phase itself. And then the other option is, if that unit is within engagement range, make a pile-in move with that unit. So basically, moving the group in there a lot closer so that way they can get into a melee battle with whoever they're fighting against. So command points are also something that I've never really gotten into. Most of the games that we play, again, are very simple, very straightforward. It's just the rules as they are, using the weapons and loadouts as they are, and we typically don't worry about command points in the groups that I play in. And so using these stratagems, you're definitely going to have to use more command, or start using command points, so that way you can actually take full advantage of them. And so definitely pretty cool stuff. I can definitely see the merit just because of the additional abilities that you get with them and things that you can do with them. So it's definitely going to add a whole new layer to my gameplay. And so definitely looking forward to trying that out and experiencing what those are like for the first time, kind of like the endless spells were for me with Age of Sigmar. So it's just now a matter of really learning how to use them, and which ones are better for my playstyle and things like that, so that way we're making them as effective as possible. But again, thank you to Games Workshop for sharing this with us. And next week, we don't have anything specific. Actually, I take that back. We should be receiving the new Warhammer Underworlds Harrow Deep box before we film for next week. Should arrive by this weekend, and so if it does, we will try to get the video filmed earlier in the week. But worst case scenario, it'll be the same time as usual, same day of the week, basically Wednesday night, Thursday morning, as far as our time here in the US. But so something to look forward to for next week. And then that's it for tonight. Thank you guys, as always, for watching, and I will catch you all next week.